Okay. What? I forgot it, so I'm gonna make a new one. What? Oh, can it be a fart joke?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I have two jokes.
Okay. Ready?
A fart was let out, and then a second one was let out. What did the first fart say to the second fart?
I don't know.
Better late than solid.
Ew.
What did the second fart say to the first fart?
Give it to me. I don't know.
Oh crap! I forgot it. Okay, the second fart said to the first fart.
Are you making this up
No,
as you go?
I forgot what it was.
You legit heard
it was
this one,
something like.
okay.
I made this up on a road trip recently. Wow. Wow. It was something like. It has something to do with it stinks out here.
Oh, man.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
This is my favorite part of the podcast.
Is it?
See, it's much better when I just make up a joke on the spot.
I really did enjoy the mad scientist one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And I've built off of it.
We're back here at the Wild Podcast. I forgot what I was saying for a second. Okay, today we are talking about addiction, and we've recorded this like 17 billion times, and this is the one. We're sticking with it. So, are you pointing at me?
Wow.
This is the one. Okay. So we have a special guest today. Well, actually, Ian, welcome back. You haven't been on like the last few episodes.
Thank you.
Yes, missed
Good
you.
to be back.
Yeah. We have a
I do it
special
for you.
guest. I do it for you. Special guest today, Lane Mathis. Woo!
Woo. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah. Let's start by talking about why we invited you on this episode.
Well,
Do you even know the
Why
answer
did
to
we
that?
invite him on the
I
episode?
feel like he knows.
I assume it's because I have a story of addiction and recovery and almost 10 years of sobriety at this
Yeah,
point.
heck yeah.
So,
That's good.
Nice.
yep.
Yeah. Okay. I have talked about this on the podcast before, but my ex-boyfriend was addicted to heroin while we were together. So like for 7 years of my life, that was like a pretty wicked roller coaster ride. And so like I'm aware that a lot of our youth struggle with addiction, whether it's porn or drinking or drugs or whatever type of addiction, or even like small things. Like I think there are just a lot of things that we can be addicted to that we don't really know that we're addicted to, like seeking attention or your phone or stuff like that. So I just didn't want to not talk about it because I feel like it's such a topic. Such a big topic that we need to speak to. So I felt like we were being irresponsible if we didn't cover it,
Sure, yeah.
However, there's going to be like a lot of things that we won't be able to cover on this episode because it's just like such a huge topic. But the last time we recorded this with you and Aaron, and Caitlin was there too. I was in this camp where, because of all the struggles that I like went through with my ex, like I saw through like what the prison system does to people who get like arrested for drug possession. I think he got arrested for selling drugs. And just like the struggle from like that perspective, which doesn't happen to everyone. Like that was like really hardcore, that like perspective of it. And I think he had been addicted since he was like 13. And so there was just such a struggle that I thought like we can only recover from addiction if you are using methadone and if you are like having therapy and if you are like super intense and all of these things, because that's what I saw him have to go through. But the piece that he was missing was Jesus the entire time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just found myself like reading books and listening to podcasts about all these people who had been really hurt through addiction and who like never recovered from it. And then one day I was just like, oh, all of these people are just missing Jesus. Like that's the key. And obviously, like, yes, Jesus makes it easier, but you still have the responsibility to do the other things that come with it.
Yeah, it's still a practice.
Yeah. But I was like just in this, I think, allowing all of the other extra steps to be like the main thing. And then Jesus was second.
Yeah.
And so, so I kind of had like this aha moment. And then I was like, okay, now I'm ready to do this podcast again.
Fair enough.
So let's talk about what your testimony is, like what your life looked like in addiction when you met Jesus, and then like what it looks like now.
Quickly, I want to speak to what you said, though.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know that everyone's rock bottom looks different.
Yeah.
So don't think that, oh, I'm not as bad as this person.
Right.
I don't need help.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to get to a certain point
Yeah.
for you to be worthy of getting help.
Yeah.
So,
That's
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
get it while it's early.
Right.
Yeah.
The path is can be easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
But my testimony, what my life looked like before, I was a pretty solid student through high school. Didn't really have any issues. Family life was good. All that like typical Midwestern thing. But however, alcoholism has been in my family for a long time, and I grew up thinking everybody's grandparents had a fully stocked bar in the basement and a kegerator in the garage. Like that was normal to me.
Sure.
So I didn't think that alcohol was that big of an issue. And then I got to college and I was out from under my parents with less guidance,
Yeah.
less supervision.
Yeah.
And I took that opportunity to, it started out when I broke up with my girlfriend, and I used that as an excuse to overindulge one night. Like I wasn't new to alcohol, but that night it was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to be. Not that was like the full genesis of the drinking, but it set a new limit for me of where I could go with it.
Yeah.
And then through college, it continued to grow and grow and grow. And it wasn't just enough to drink on weekends. It was Thursday nights, mug nights.
Sure.
And then got kicked out of school because, they threatened to kick me out because my grades were slipping. And I was like, okay, I got you. I picked my grades back up for one semester.
Sure.
And then they said, hey, you do that again, we're serious this time. And I said, I don't think you are. And found out they are serious. My drinking ramped up, and I started to go to less and less classes, drinking during the day, drinking on the way to classes, in classes. I was effectively a functional alcoholic at that point in time. And then they said, hey, we don't want you to be a product of our school. So they kicked me out of school. I lost my job through the university, which was at the Botanical Gardens, which is, I've got a horticulture degree. This is like my goal is to work at a botanical garden. So I think not only was I crushed by losing my opportunity at school, I lost my job. Then it took a little bit to bounce back from that and work third shift, and was working overnights in a factory. And that didn't, like, you would figure that being kicked out of school and losing your job would be a wake up, would be your rock bottom. But no, I'd just get off work and get donuts and beers.
Sure. Yeah.
Were you aware, like I know, like, now that you're talking about this, you were like, that night that you broke up with your girlfriend or whatever, was like created a new limit. But do you think after that you were aware, like, this is happening? Or was it just like a life is busy and full of stuff and I'm just going to keep doing whatever I'm doing? Do you know? Does that make sense?
No. My parents came up and they said, "Hey, we think you have a drinking problem." And I said, "No, I think you have a problem with my drinking."
Ooh.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. As far as I was concerned,
Yeah.
I didn't have a drinking problem.
Yeah, okay.
In college, I didn't have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Because I saw similar activity mirrored around me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
also who you surround yourself
Right.
with.
Yeah.
I have a good set of friends from college, and they handled their life better than I did.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I was around it, and so it was fine.
Yeah.
And they were fine with it for a period of time,
Sure.
until they weren't.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, then after a while there of working third shift, I realized that my life had become unmanageable and I had to do something different. And I was dating Steph at the time, and she was like, I think things are like a little out of hand.
Sure.
And I mean, I thought I was doing a pretty good job of hiding it from her. But then once other people start seeing it, and not that I didn't care what my parents thought, but the person that I was dating was like,
Yeah.
So I realized that if I wanted to get back into school, I had to get sober for myself. And then if Steph decided to stick around with me, that's just a bonus.
Sure. Yeah.
So I went through a program, an outpatient program, where I went and sat through classes and talked through stuff and like peed in cups to make sure that I wasn't using
Sure, yeah.
additional substances, because believe it or not, alcohol wasn't the only problem. But it was the biggest and the hardest to break.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made it through that, and I don't know why I have over 9 years of sobriety. I don't know how I got, like, my story of this length of sobriety in the first go is not typical.
Yeah, it's like a miracle. Yeah.
So I can only attribute that to somebody standing in the gap, praying for me,
Yeah.
God's grace,
Sure.
God's mercy.
Yeah. That's good.
Because I definitely didn't get the punishment that I probably deserved.
Sure.
Like, it stinks I got kicked out of college. I was able to come back. I made a case for myself to the dean of the College of Ag.
Whoa.
He wasn't a huge fan of my work previously. So I had to make a case to him of just like, I'm trying to do better for myself. But yeah, I don't know how I'm over 9 years sober,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's so cool though.
other than God.
At this point in your life, you're not a Christian. Like,
No.
Because, okay, 9 years ago? What year was that? Yeah? Okay. So, like, you and Steph had been dating for how long?
Sometime.
Like, over a year or less than a year? Like, it was...
We've been married for 7. We dated like 3 years prior to that, so we'd been together for like a year and change.
Okay. So, you might be going this direction already, but at what point do you become a Christian? If I skipped over stuff, you can go back.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's pretty much the end of the drinking.
Yeah.
It was able to cease quickly, and that's very fortunate for me. I became a Christian. Well, I did Christian activities
Yeah.
before we got married. Like we found a church once we both moved to Des Moines. We settled into West Des Moines in an apartment, and we're like, well, if we want to get married, we need to find a church. Like long term,
Yeah.
we weren't engaged at the time, but like, you know, you start planning things and you're like, we need a place for this. And Steph grew up Lutheran, so we went and found a Lutheran church that we liked at the time. And like I said, we did Christian activities. We attended church like once every 4 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
We were just beyond Creasters.
Yeah.
And then really like I wasn't truly saved until I came to Eternity when Steph got her position here. That's when obviously things you kind of either get serious or you find your way out.
Yeah.
Like so I just leaned into it and got saved, got baptized, and here we are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like 3-ish years later.
Your other relationships in life, like at this time, like with your parents or friends or even stuff, like were they like numb, or were people were like fighting for you? They were like, stop doing what you're doing.
I think, Steph wanted what was best for me. Everyone wanted what was best for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say other than Steph that people were fighting for me.
Sure.
And I did AA for a period of time, got close with a couple of guys, and they were helpful. I think AA is a helpful organization if you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
That can help.
Yeah.
It sets a structure for you. But did I have anybody truly championing me, like being my champion? Just pretty much Steph.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
it's also my family and I have a good relationship, but since college, it's kind of been distant.
Yeah.
It's good when we're together, but
Yeah.
we're separated by 3-hour drive, and for some reason that's a big enough obstacle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I always forget that you and Steph were together during this time. And then when I remember, and like anytime she sees you like with either of your girls, like worshiping in the or like stepping up to the altar or something like that, and she's like, I'm fine, it's fine. And I'm always like, that's, I mean, like, you know, stuff is like that, just like in general, but also I bet it holds like this is where we were and this is where we are now, or this is where
I mean, we're not blind to it.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to reflect on it,
right.
to really be like not proud of where you came from, but like to acknowledge where you came from, and and see the growth of where you're at.
Right.
So like talking specifically about like having people championing.
Yeah.
Championing.
It's a tough word when you say it into the mic.
Yeah. Championing.
Yep. It is.
People championing you.
Championing.
Yeah, you can say it any other time, but when you're speaking into a microphone,
Yeah.
Doing that. Like, I don't know. I just think about like all the kids that are trying to be better, right? I don't know. I have this mental picture of like you in the ring, right? Like boxing or something, and you have people cheering for you, but they're from a distance. And then you have like, you know, Steph is your coach that's like, you can do this, you can go the distance, you know? I don't know. So like I just open what can we do, or what can kids do to I don't know.
Yeah, like if it's like a student, like let's say a student, one of our students struggling with this, and they have friends, but their friends are like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what would you tell? What would you tell to both groups of them? The person struggling and then the person who loves the person struggling.
The person that's struggling, you have to be honest with yourself and give yourself an honest appraisal of where you're at. Like I said, my life became unmanageable. Day-to-day things were harder than they should be. getting up and going to work,
Yeah.
getting to class, that type of stuff. That became unmanageable.
Yeah.
And really, you need to speak up and say something and make yourself accountable by telling someone.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because if somebody else knows what you're going through, that lets them into your life so that they can check in on you.
Yeah.
And when you say you're going to do something, they can check in and be like,
Yeah.
hey,
How are you
how's it
doing?
going?
Sure. Yeah.
That's good.
And for the person that's seeing it, oof, that's tough because, like I
Yeah.
said, I didn't have a drinking problem.
Yeah. Right.
In my mind, I didn't think I had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
But you need to be there for when they are ready
Sure.
because you cannot make someone else sober. You cannot break someone else's addiction. You can pray for them and you can be there ready and willing to help out, pick up pieces, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
You're like on standby. And I know that's tough. I'm sure it was tough for people around me.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everybody's rock bottom's different.
Yeah.
So you almost have to wait.
Yeah.
You can say your piece and say, hey, if you're struggling with something I've noticed that you're struggling with, or I've noticed things becoming different in this area, you can come in with like a light touch like that, and that can open up a conversation. But you shouldn't come in and be like, hey,
I'm gonna fix you.
Yeah.
you're my project now.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that puts so much weight on the person that's already struggling
Yeah.
that can be overwhelming. Like you're already struggling to do day-to-day things and trying to, let's be honest, you're trying to hide your addiction. Like nobody's super proud of their addiction.
Yeah.
So you're busy trying to hide it. And then you have somebody being like, let's do something about this.
Yeah.
And that's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that with my ex
Weird.
because
I love you, Clara. That seems very much like you.
Yeah. I did that for 7 years. And like there were good times and there were bad times, like but it was super hard to walk away at the end because there was so much, like we'd been through so many things together and I wanted him to be sober more than he wanted to be sober at that time. It just like totally set me up to fail. 'Cause you can't make someone sober.
Yeah.
But you also like need to check in like with yourself. Like that relationship for me was abusive as well. So it wasn't like just me hanging in there with him while he was like in full on addiction.
Yeah.
So like there were some other, elements to it as well. But I like pushed him to do stuff all the time and I would be like, this is what you want, right? Like what's he gonna say? Like, no, this isn't what I want. Like he wanted me in his life to an extent, but I was number 2 or number 3 or number 4. Like I was never gonna be number 1. The Lord should have been number 1, but that was not happening.
Sure.
But yeah, so like I think I see this in a lot of our students, not even in addiction, but like they really care about someone and that person is not doing what they want them to do. And so they're like, I just need to help them with this one thing. Like, I'm just gonna like help them with all the things and then they'll just do it one day. And I'm like, that's not.
It
That's not how it's
sounds
gonna work.
nice.
It does sound nice. But relationships are definitely like there needs to be commitment on both sides. And if the commitment is not met with like equal amount, then it's not
Yeah.
gonna probably be healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the scripture doesn't truly apply here, but being equally yoked,
Yes.
like you have to be in it
totally.
together at the same pace,
Yep.
doing the same thing, moving towards a common goal.
Yeah. I think my mom handled my relationship with my ex and like how I was dealing with things really well, because she did not like what was happening, but she knew if I'm just like there enough, like when I was ready, that I was going to come to her. And I only felt supported by my mom throughout like that entire journey with him. I had friends leave because they were like, your boyfriend sucks, and I was like, yeah, but he's my boyfriend. So and then when like really bad things would happen between us, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to call my mom, because like who else am I going to call? I wanted someone who was like, I love you, but what you're doing is not for me. But when you're ready, I'll be right here, which I think is really hard. And in culture, we don't teach people how to do that. We're not like, hey, love someone from a distance, because it's not healthy for you.
Yeah.
It's a whole new concept that we're not used to. And I feel like as Christians too, we have like this whole idea of what Christianity is supposed to be. And apparently Christianity is supposed to be like supporting people all the time through everything at all stages, which is false, I think. I mean, like, what is there's a phrase. I don't know what the phrase is. I don't think it's going to come to me. But like, I don't think that Jesus would walk with I think Jesus would walk with someone who is struggling with this, but also telling truth. And also like, I got other people to minister to as well. I need to be like talking to the Lord, and I need to be doing these things. I don't think that we are called to walk next to someone at all times, be abused by them, be treated, poorly, like all of these things when like they're not in it. Like we're called to love people and be truthful to people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to. We're supposed to speak truth and cover it in love.
Yeah.
But at some points, you've got to be a little distant.
Right.
Like every time Jesus was going to address people, he went off and did his own thing and talked with God, and then came back and he was like, hey, check out this cool thing that God told me.
Well, he also was like, here's your choice. You can either follow me or you can not, and you can be like, you can go to hell. You can either love me or you can hate others, like he always gave like this choice, and then like you, the person listening to what he's saying, have the choice to either choose to follow him or to be like, okay, well, I'm not. So I feel like if we're modeling the same thing as like going back to this group of friends or whatever that loves this person that is addicted, we can do the same thing.
Yeah, just love them and pray and be there. Like I can't stress how much it's a waiting game.
Sure.
It stinks, but it is.
Yep. I kind of want to talk about, this might be hard because like what kind of advice would you give to, are you making faces at the camera?
No.
What kind of advice would you give to youth broad who are struggling with any form of addiction? Like, what are next steps to take? Can you answer this? I don't know if you can. I feel like it might be more specific. Like, let's talk about alcohol, and then let's talk about drugs, and then I don't know.
I feel like it's all the same. Yeah. You got to tell somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to let somebody in.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to change. So maybe the first step is want to change.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But we're past that. You want to change. Mm-hmm. Tell somebody.
Yeah.
Preferably another Christian.
Right.
Right? And they're going to encourage you to, Jesus it up.
Yeah. Jesus it up.
Yeah, invite somebody in.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be your full story. You can let them into what you want to let them into.
Sure.
You'll eventually get into the whole story. I mean, that's what a testimony is. But like,
Yeah.
you just gotta let them in where you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Sure. That's smart.
Okay. My, why can't I organize my brain? I wish there were like compartments.
What?
Yeah, like little folders. Like I
You
got
don't have
this.
that?
Dude, I wish I had that sometimes.
I go into my mind palace and it's just filled with all sorts of fun stuff.
Sometimes, okay, I don't know if any of you do this, but sometimes I'm praying and I'm like, wow, my thoughts are all over the place. And then other times I'm praying and I'm like, that was so organized. How did I remember all of those things?
Oh no, it's just chaos for me. That's also because I'm still immature in my, like, I'm not mature in my prayer. Like, I'm still working on it. Like,
Yeah, same. At our leader meeting, okay, I will get back on track. Hold on.
okay.
At our leader meeting, I was like, wow, I just prayed for like 27 minutes, but it was probably like 5.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good, but I was just like, when the Holy Spirit takes over and then you like straight up don't remember anything you said.
I wish I could say yes.
It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes I'm just like,
happened to
what?
me.
I don't know what I said. Okay, anyway. Okay, what does your life look like now? Because you're almost 10 years sober and obviously you're doing something right.
Yeah. What is your? I mean, doesn't AA say that you're like always an addict or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, I
Ooh.
feel like people
Do you have a
think that.
thought on this? I would love to talk about this.
Which do we want to conquer
I
first?
don't.
The first one.
Which was, remind me.
What does your life look like now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still chaos. It's just a different kind of chaos. Like, I've got 2 daughters, a wife, a mortgage, a job. Like,
Yeah.
there's still things that need to be done, but from a day to day, I'm able to organize myself as best as I can
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
step through it with limited hurdles. Like, hey, I had to pick up my daughter early from daycare today. If I was still drinking, I may not have been able to do that.
Yeah. Sure.
I may not have been safe enough to get behind a wheel and operate that motor vehicle and do the
Yeah.
things that I need to do.
Right.
Like, old Lane would have
Yeah.
been like, oh, I got this. But new responsible Lane would say, well, reasonably responsible, would say that would be a terrible idea. So yeah, like day to day, I'm fortunate that alcohol does not consume my thoughts.
Yeah.
There are times where I see it, I'm like, that was a thing at one time. But I understand that it's a threshold I can't cross.
Yeah.
One of the fun platitudes that AA brings up is, what is it? One drink is too many, 100's not enough. Like, you either are in it or you're out of it.
Yeah.
You're either sober or you're not.
Sure.
That's good.
And we all, I can't say all because you don't speak in definites, but most people are trying to fill a void.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you can try and fill it with whatever you want, whatever your addiction is. There's generally a void you're trying to fill,
Yeah.
and God and a Christian community can help fill that void much easier
Yeah.
than trying to go at it alone.
Right.
Sure.
And then AA saying that
Yeah.
once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. I think you always have addictive personality traits.
Sure.
Are you an alcoholic? Would I say that I'm an alcoholic after 9 years of not having alcohol? I would argue no.
Sure.
I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I am currently.
Yeah.
People have, it's what the program teaches, and I don't want to sit here and belittle the program that's helped thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of people get sober and stay sober.
Yeah.
But your past doesn't dictate who you are. Like we all go through a transition of like, not necessarily rebirth, but like we all have phases in our lives, and I look at that portion of time as a phase in my life, a season,
Yeah.
and I'm in a new season. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
I think that Jesus died for us. And that's why I struggle with that like concept. Also, so what Quest 180, is that it's some kind of recovery I don't know, program, I guess, but it's not like just for alcoholics. It can also be for like people who were like in my boat, where I loved someone who was an alcoholic, or
yeah,
you know,
and
whatever.
that's
Like
where
Al-Anon.
that's where
It's
Al-Anon
basically-
falls as a
Yeah.
in the system of AA.
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting going to it, because you would like sit in a circle and you'd be like, I'm Clara, and we would say in this but I am here because I'm in this situation. I'm trying to make the best of it,
Yeah.
you know? And so I always thought that was strange. And until one day this lady said, my name is whatever her name was. And then she said, and I'm a child of Christ. And I was like,
Nice.
oh, okay. And then I was like, yeah, I could, that's good. I could do that. And she like brought a lot to like our circle. She would read like super vulnerable like journal entries that she wrote about like just how she's processing through her husband's addiction and stuff like that. And it was just like, it was really good. But yeah, but I would say in general, I don't like to use that
Oh yeah,
term or whatever. Yeah, because it's like, because Jesus died for you, and because God chooses to forget the bad things that we've done. You know? Yeah.
That being said, I still have the impulse when I'm in a group setting and I introduce myself.
Yeah.
I have to stop myself from saying, "Hi, I'm Lane. I'm an alcoholic," because it was just, it's what you did.
Yeah.
You addressed what your problem was,
Yeah.
and I think that's the idea behind it. That's
Yeah.
the heart behind it. Is you address what your issue
Yeah.
is, but I understand that you're
yes.
labeling yourself at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, like at some point you do have to take responsibility for what's going on in your life.
Take responsibility. That's fun.
Yeah. No, I am gonna remember.
Oh!
Okay.
And the crowd goes wild.
What is it? Hurry before you forget.
Okay. I'm just gonna brag on you for a second, because I feel like you don't do a good job of doing it yourself. So here I am. Okay. Last night was youth night. Ugh, I dated the podcast.
They know we record on Thursdays. It's fine.
That's true. Okay, anyway.
Last night, November.
Yeah, last night, Caleb and I were up in the booth trying to figure out songs or something like that. And I look down, and Lane is in the auditorium, and he's like praying over I'm assuming you were praying over what was about to happen in that room.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was attempting to do.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so like I also, because I work with stuff, like just hear all of the great things about you all the time. So I feel like when I ask you like, what does your life look like now? Like obviously you're doing something right. Like you totally are, because you're literally going at it during worship. You're like, no one else was in the auditorium. Like you were just praying because like that's what I'm assuming you needed to do in that moment. But no other youth leaders were doing it. You're just doing it. And I was like, I feel encouraged just watching you do that, because it's such a good thing to model. Like you should pray when you're nervous about things, or you should pray when there's a change, or you should pray when you need
Just
something.
continually pray.
You know?
Pray
Yeah.
without ceasing.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, there was a specific atmosphere that was
Yeah.
requested last night, and that is not the
Yeah.
energy that I typically bring.
Yeah,
So I was like, hey, I should probably like spend a little bit of time in worship and prayer
Yeah.
and just like be in the space
Yeah, that's
that I'm trying to bring energy to, that I'm trying to bring life to, and not necessarily collect my thoughts, but just be in communication. It's just like, if you have something to say it to me now, so that I'm not standing up there dead air on the mic.
Sure.
Like,
Yep. Yeah.
kind of collect my thoughts.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I just was like, I don't know. There are also like just some other things. Like I feel like you and Steph don't even have to communicate about childcare things, because you're just like, yeah, we're good at this.
Oh, we're not good at this.
You seem like you are very good at it, and you guys like always seem solid. Like I feel like there are just some husbands or wives that are like, yeah, I'm going to complain about my spouse right now. And Steph literally never does that. And I've never heard you do that about Steph either. And so like, there are just really intentional things that it seems like you are doing in your life that equal why you have been sober for as long as you have. So,
Well, yeah, thank you for
Yes.
all the accolades and nice things. I don't accept them very well.
it's okay. I wouldn't have accepted them very well either.
Yeah, no. I don't know. We've gone through my addiction. Like
Yeah.
we've been through stuff, and all the little petty, trivial things fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
And day-to-day stuff isn't that big. Like it seems big in the moment. In hindsight, it's whatever.
Yeah, I think that's like a good thing to grab onto. Like if our youth are struggling with something like this, like where's your identity? Like is your identity in Christ? And if it's not, like how can you move that direction? But then like little things like they're not little things, but reading your Bible and praying and like actually worshiping God. And just like that heart posture is just going to make all of those other things that you're struggling with seem that much easier, you know?
Yeah. You either get with it or like it's just a practice.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Like it's hard to say that communicating with God is a practice, but like if you're not used to it,
Right.
Yeah.
it takes some practice. It takes some
totally.
doing. And I still struggle with prayer,
Yeah.
Sure.
but I give it my best go, and I know that he hears it. And
Yeah, for sure.
I assume that he's happy about the fact that I'm trying to communicate
yeah.
and be like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm trying to work with you, not against you. Help me out.
Yeah.
I'd love to do the thing that you want me to do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have anything else?
No.
Do you have anything else? I forgot I'm not on video anymore.
You okay?
No,
What
I mean,
things do you want to leave with the youth? You said something great last time about them coming up and talking to you, and I loved it.
oh,
I feel like you still have that heart posture.
yeah, for sure. If you're struggling with something, just come up to me. Like, I may not be familiar with whatever your specific addiction is. But like, I had trouble with drugs. I had trouble with alcohol, porn, like you name it. I kind of gotcha. But if I don't, I know people that do. Because we all have struggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're not alone. We all have struggles. And if I don't know somebody, I know somebody who knows somebody.
Right.
And we can figure it out and talk through it and get you pointed in the right direction of whatever you're trying to tackle.
Right.
Like, again,
Yeah.
you're not alone. I want to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Despite what my face and my voice sound like, I genuinely want to help.
That's good.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be a youth leader for like, I guess 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah.
Like, I obviously want to be here and help people.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You were a youth leader before I was. I think I'm like at 2.5, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's like Gary, Beth, myself, Ian, Connor. Did I say Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are like the most senior of youth leaders now.
Dang, that's so crazy.
No, I was before Tavita.
Oh,
Yeah. Just because I haven't gone to camp.
He could have been though.
I just had a baby.
Yeah.
And I couldn't leave my
Yeah, and I started like
wife and child at home. I know responsibilities.
I think
I know.
Good one.
wow. I wish he was on mic. Okay.
Responsibility is responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's good. We love
Hey,
you.
thanks for listening to this podcast. We love you very much. And if you don't know that, then you haven't actually sat and talked to any of us.